Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before we start the topic for discussion today, let's see a scenario. The scenario is a mother brought her 6 years old child in the OPD of ENT and said that her child is suffering from fever for 2 days, along with vomiting. The examination shows palatine tonsils of the child were swollen and congested. The urodigestic lymph nodes in the neck were also palpable and tender. Temperature of the patient was 102 degree Fahrenheit. What is the most likely diagnosis? The answer to this scenario is very simple. That is the acute tonsillitis. Now, what are the palatine tonsils? The palatine tonsils are paired lymphoid structures in the oropharynx, forming part of the Walder's ring at the entrance of aerodigestive tract of the human beings. Walder's ring consists of two circles of lymphoid tissue around the aerodigestive tract. Inner ring and the other is outer ring. The inner ring consists of different lymphoid structures around the opening of aerodigestive tract. Palatine tonsils are one of these members. The outer ring comprising of different cervical lymph nodes present in different levels in the neck. What is Walder's ring? The lymphoid tissue surrounding the opening into the respiratory and digestive systems forms a ring. The lateral part of the ring is formed by the palatine tonsils and tubal tonsils, which are present around the auditory tube opening. The upper part is formed by the pharyngeal tonsil, which is present on the roof of the nasopharynx. The lower part of this inner ring is formed by the lingual tonsil on the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. This is a figure which shows these different components of the inner ring of the Walder's ring. Anatomy of the palatine tonsil. Palatine tonsil are paired structures situated in the lateral wall of the oropharynx between anterior and posterior pillars. It consists of two surfaces, medial and lateral surfaces, and two pores, upper and lower pores. Medial surface is covered by non-keratinizing stratified squamous epithelium. There are 12 to 15 crypts on the medial surface. The largest one is called crypta magna or intratonsillar cleft. Lateral surface of the tonsil presents a well-defined fibrous capsule. Loose areolar tissue lies between the tonsillar bed and the capsule. It is the site for collection of pus in the peritonsillar abscess. Upper pole of the tonsil extends into the soft palate. Its medial surface is covered by semilunar fold known as plica semilunaris. Lower pole of the tonsil is attached to the tongue. Triangular fold of mucous membrane extends from anterior pillar to anterior part of the tonsil, enclosing the plica triangularis. Tonsil is separated from the tongue by tonsillolingual sulcus. This figure shows you the palatine tonsils, two lymphoid structures present in the lateral wall of the oropharynx. Tonsillar bed. Tonsillar bed is formed by loose areolar tissue containing the paratonsillar vein, pyngobasilar fascia, superior constrictor muscle, buccopharyngeal fascia, styloglossus, medial pterygoid muscle, glossopharyngeal nerve, and facial artery. This is a figure showing you the tonsillar bed of the right palatine tonsil. You can see different structures which form the bed of the palatine tonsil. Blood supply of palatine tonsil. The palatine tonsil is supplied by 5 arteries. Two branches of the facial artery, which are the tonsillar branch and the ascending palatine branch, which supply the palatine tonsil. Similarly, ascending pharyngeal artery, dorsal lingual branches, and descending palatine branch from maxillary artery also supply the palatine tonsil. This is the figure which shows you different arteries which supply the palatine tonsils. Venous drainage. The palatine tonsil is drained by venous plexus around the tonsils, which is drained by the tonsillar veins. Some veins drain into the paratonsillar veins, which eventually drain into the pharyngeal plexus or into the common facial vein. Lymphatic drainage. Lymphatics from the palatine tonsils, they pierce the superior constrictor muscle and drain into the upper deep cervical lymph node, that is jugulo-digastric lymph node at the level of 2. Functions of the tonsils. The palatine tonsil is the component of the inner Valdes ring. It has a protective role and acts as a sentinel at portal of air and food passage. Crypts of the palatine tonsil increase the surface area of contact with foreign substances. Differences between the palatine tonsils, adenoids, and the lymph nodes. First, the differences between adenoids and tonsils. Adenoids are also called Lusca's tonsil. Tonsil is also called fascial tonsils. Adenoids are unilateral structures, whereas tonsils are bilateral structures. Furrows are seen in the adenoids, whereas crypts are present in the palatine tonsils. Adenoids are present in the posterior wall of the nasopharynx, whereas tonsil is present between the pillars in the oropharynx. The adenoids are covered with pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, whereas the palatine tonsils are covered by stratified squamous epithelium. Adenoids are truncated pyramid shaped, whereas tonsils are almond shaped. Adenoids is uncapsulated, whereas tonsil is partially capsulated because it has a well-defined fibrous capsule on the lateral surface of the palatine tonsil. Adenoids, they regress completely after puberty, whereas tonsils persist even after puberty. Now, the differences between lymphoid tissue in the Valdes ring and the lymph node. The lymphoid tissue in the Valdes ring, for example, adenoids or palatine tonsils, they are subepithelial in position, whereas lymph node is a subcutaneous structure. No demarcation is seen between cortex and medulla, whereas in the lymph node, it has a well-defined cortex, medulla, and there is a germinal center as well. The structures of the lymphoid tissue in the Valdes ring, they are partly capsulated or non-capsulated, whereas lymph node is completely capsulated. Crypts or furrows are present in lymphoid tissue in the Valdes ring, whereas no crypts or furrow are seen in the lymph node. The lymphoid tissue in the Valdes ring is having only efferent. There are no afferent at all. But in case of lymph node, both afferent and efferent vessels are seen. Now we come to the disease process which is involving the tonsils, that is the tonsillitis. Tonsillitis means inflammation of the palatine tonsils. Types of tonsillitis. Tonsillitis may be acute tonsillitis, or it may be a chronic tonsillitis, or you can say recurrent tonsillitis. First, we will discuss the acute tonsillitis. Definition of acute tonsillitis. It is the acute inflammation of the palatine tonsils present in between the anterior and posterior pillars of the oropharynx. Epidemiology of acute tonsillitis. Acute tonsillitis mainly affects the children between the ages of 5 and 15 years. It has been seen that in approximately 30 to 40% of the patients, tonsillitis is caused by the bacteria, especially the group A beta hemolytic streptococcus is the most common bacterial pathogen which causes tonsillitis. Etiology. Generally, It is caused by group A beta hemolytic streptococci. Apart from this main bacterium, other bacteria may also cause acute tonsillitis. For example, Moraxella catarrhalis, Haemophilus influenzae, Staph aureus, Streptococcus pneumoniae, bacteroides, E. coli, diphtheria, syphilis, Neisseria. And some viruses may also cause acute tonsillitis. For example, adenovirus, influenza virus type A, type B, Epstein-Barr virus, parainfluenza virus, entorovirus, herpes simplex virus. It has been seen the viruses they cause the superficial catarrhal type of acute tonsillitis. Later on, they pave the way for the bacteria to jump in, and then the patient will get bacterial acute tonsillitis. Triggering factors. These are the factors which pave the way for the microorganisms to cause acute tonsillitis. For example, these triggering factors are foods with artificial colors and preservatives, peanuts, cold drinks, cold foods, ice creams, etc. Changes of weather, extremely cold climate, damp weather, exposure to a lot of pollution, sour fruits, lemon, pineapple, grapes, and oranges. All these triggering factors, if they are used by the patient, they pave the way for the microorganisms to cause acute tonsillitis. Types of acute tonsillitis. There are four main types of acute tonsillitis. One is acute catarrhal or superficial tonsillitis. In this case, tonsillitis is a part of generalized pharyngitis, mostly seen in viral infections. Second is acute follicular tonsillitis. In this case, the infection spreads into the crypts of the palatine tonsils with purulent material presenting at the opening of the crypts as yellow spots. The third variety is the acute parenchymatous. This is the tonsil in which the tonsil is uniformly enlarged and congested. The last one is acute membranous tonsillitis. This type of tonsillitis follows the stage of acute follicular tonsillitis, where exudates coalesce to form the membrane on the surface of the palatine tonsils. This is the figure showing you the acute catarrhal or superficial tonsillitis. In this figure, you can see the acute parenchymatous, in which the whole tonsil is uniformly congested and enlarged. This is the case of acute follicular tonsillitis, and this is acute membranous tonsillitis. Here you can see the exudates, they coalesce to form a membrane on the surface of the palatine tonsils. Clinical features of acute tonsillitis. First, the symptoms. Soreness of the throat, difficulty in swallowing or painful swallowing of food and drinks, pain or discomfort while swallowing saliva. There will be change of voice, pain in the ears due to common nerve supply of the back of the throat and ears. The patient may have headache, malaise, tiredness, difficulty in taking foods in babies. This may be the only indicator in some cases of tonsillitis in infants. Signs of acute tonsillitis. The patient may have halitosis. He may have coated tongue. He may have congestion of the pillars, soft palate, and uvula. If you examine, palpate the jugular digestive nodes, they are enlarged and tender. And the tonsils are congested and enlarged depending upon the type of the acute tonsillitis. The tonsils may have follicles filled with cheesy material. They may have a membrane and so forth. So this is the figure differentiating the clinical features of bacterial and viral acute tonsillitis. Diagnosis. Diagnosis is made from complaints and symptoms, examination of the throat, finding some signs and inflammatory parameters, sending different samples of blood to the laboratory for leukocytosis, ESR, and CRP. These are elevated. Then bacteriological testing is done by taking a throat swab and sending the swab to the laboratory for culture sensitivity report. It is rarely taken because it takes 2 to 3 days to obtain a definite result. Then you may perform rapid immunoassay. This can identify the causative organism as a group A Streptococcus in just 10 minutes. Prevention. You can prevent the acute tonsillitis by certain measures. For example, avoid close contact with others who are sick. Keep the children away from the kids who are known to have tonsillitis or a sore throat, because if this disease spreads through droplet infection. Remind the kids about the importance of proper hand washing, especially when around people who appear to be sick. Wash and disinfect the surfaces and toys. Teaching the kids to cover their mouths when coughing or sneezing, preferably using a tissue so that germs do not get on their hands, and show them how to use tissues to wipe their noses. Similarly, the patients, they are advised that they should carry disposable wipes and a hand sanitizer to clean the hands. Treatment. For streptococcal tonsillitis, a course of penicillin V for 10 to 14 days is sufficient. Similarly, amoxicillin plus beta-lactamase inhibitors in the form of clavulanic acid may be prescribed. Similarly, macrolides or oral cephalosporin can be used in patients allergic to penicillin. Analgesics for pain relief, antibiotics to reduce fever, bed rest, hydration, oral hygiene, and good nourishing diet should be given to the patient. Complications of acute tonsillitis. The complications can be local or regional complications, and second, systemic complications. Local or regional complications in the form of recurrent tonsillitis. It may be in the form of 6 to 7 episodes in 1 year, 5 episodes per year for 2 consecutive years, and 3 episodes per year for 3 consecutive years. Second is the chronic tonsillitis, when the sore throat is present for at least 3 months with tonsillar inflammation. The patient may get peritonsillar abscess several days after the onset of tonsillitis. He may develop parapharyngeal abscess, retropharyngeal abscess, otitis media, sinusitis, laryngitis, and bronchitis. All these complications, they may be local and regional complications which may be due to acute tonsillitis. Similarly, certain systemic complications may occur, especially these are as a sequelae of streptococcal tonsillitis. Although rare complications, but it can occur when antigen antibody reaction is there, which will give rise to post streptococcal diseases such as acute glomerulonephritis, acute rheumatic fever, and rheumatic endocarditis. All these are the as a result complications are as a result of systemic complications due to acute tonsillitis. Now, differential diagnosis of membrane over the tonsil. There are certain other diseases apart from membranous tonsillitis which may present with a membrane on the tonsil. So all these diseases must be kept in mind to differentiate one disease from the other. For example, diphtheria. Diphtheria is a slower in onset, which is less local discomfort causing disease. Membrane is adherent, and when you remove the membrane, there is a bleeding surface. If you take a throat swab from the membrane and culture it, you will find Cyanobacterium diphtheriae. Second disease is the Vincent angina. In this case, Fever, the fever is less, the patient will have less discomfort, membrane over one tonsil, and if you remove the membrane, there will be irregular ulcer under the membrane, and if you take a throat swab and culture it, then fusiform bacillus spirochetes may be obtained. Infectious mononucleosis, also called glandular fever. It will affect the young adults, both tonsils enlarged, congested, and covered with membrane. Marked local discomfort will be there. Enlarged lymph nodes in the posterior triangle of the neck will be seen. Hepatomegaly and splenomegaly will be seen. It is caused by Epstein-Barr virus, and there is failure of the antibiotic treatment. Blood smear will show you 50% lymphocytes, of which at least 10% are atypical. Agranulocytosis. In this disease, there will be ulcerative necrotic lesions elsewhere in the oropharynx. So total leukocyte count is less than 2000 per cubic millimeter, and the patient is severely ill. In aphthous ulcers, any part of the oral cavity will be affected, and ulcers, they are very painful and they appear on the movable parts of the oral mucosa. Malignancy of the tonsil. The tonsil malignancy may be squamous cell carcinoma or it may be lymphoma. In squamous cell carcinoma, usually the patient will present with uh, fungating or ulcerative growth, and the biopsy of the tissue will confirm the diagnosis. Similarly, if the lymphoma is there, in case of lymphoma of the tonsil, the patient will have uniformly enlarged smooth mass of the tonsil. In this case, the whole of the tonsil should be removed and sent for histopathology, which will settle the issue. Traumatic ulcer. In this case, any injury heals, which will be by formation of a membrane, which will give you the diagnosis of traumatic ulcer. The patient will have history of injury as well. Thank you so much for your attention.